Is it just me? Or are there more and more stories on the news these days about squaddies? From tales of World War II heroes, to pictures of coffins being carried out the back of aeroplanes, or stories of guys learning to walk again after having their legs blown off. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything funny or clever about mocking the dead or injured folk. And personally, I think the people who fought in the Second World War were genuinely heroic. However, that doesn't excuse the constant ramming down our throats of this propaganda, the constant noise of our boys this and our heroes that. The fact is, they knew what they were getting themselves into when they joined the army. I'm sure not one of them thought, I think I'll sign up so I can go to Afghanistan, have a laugh with my mates and get some souvenirs. As I said, I'm not having a go at the squaddies. With all the propaganda in the media, it's inevitable that some people would think there's a good idea to do their duty or whatever, and not fully consider the extent of the horrors that await them. No, the people I blame are the media, and the politicians that got us into this mess in the first place. And for what? Let's not beat about the bush here. The war we're fighting in today is not the same as the war we fought in the 1940s. That war was to stop a genocidal regime from taking over Europe. The war we're in today, in Afghanistan, was started and continues because of oil. We were only in Iraq to do Halliburton's dirty work. And to say that we're still in Afghanistan to stop the Afghans from bombing Britain, which the Ministry of Propaganda, or the BBC, likes to keep telling us, is so ridiculous it's a wonder that the newsreaders can keep a straight face. Isn't it strange that nobody seems to have noticed that we weren't being bombed by Muslims before we started carpet bombing Afghanistan and Iraq? And is it any wonder that many Muslims around the world are on the verge of a holy war with the West, considering what the US and UK have done to Iraq and Afghanistan, and the way they treat Pakistan, Iran and Palestine? Another thing I keep hearing a lot is we're staying in Afghanistan until the Afghans can defend themselves against the insurgents, and they can run the government themselves. No one seems to have realised, or wants to admit, that the insurgents are the people of Afghanistan who know that the foreigners are there to steal their resources, and the puppet government that we installed are a bunch of crooks, which means that almost every Afghan with half a brain is a potential insurgent. It's not some cliquey little group of desperados, but a whole country of pissed off folk and rightfully sick of the invaders. Given those odds, we don't stand a chance. Neither did the Russians when they tried. So when I hear that half-blind Scotch cretin, Gordon Liability Brown, comparing the soldiers of World War II with the soldiers of today, frankly it gets on my tits. Especially because when he does this, it erodes what the people who fought in World War II fought for. In their day, the government, and therefore the army, weren't owned by the multinationals who persuade them to do their bidding. It's a sad fact that every year we remember those who died in the World Wars, and yet seem to forget why. Never learning the lessons of history has to teach us, and thus are doomed to make the same mistakes.